What's up, guys? This is the second time I'm recording this video because I realized last time I played some music that would get me banned from YouTube, or this video would get cooked, and I realized I got bodied. Anyway, so with that level of confidence that I played that music, I'd like to talk about confidence in fighting games, right? And I wanted to try to break up the idea of confidence that we have and talk about the ideas that are actually really important in fighting game context, because we've got, the kind of confidence where you waltz into the club and you don't care whose girlfriend this is, you're gonna dance with that girl. No, maybe, okay, that's like one kind of confidence, right? So I wanted to have this discussion with the prior kind of understanding that there are two major points to confidence in fighting games that are really important, right? So let's just get right into it. I got this kind of question from someone about knowledge and confidence in that knowledge that I really wanted to explain a little more. And I think it's something that a lot of people could actually benefit from hearing. So let me just go back and talk about my friend David Hume, right? So if you don't know David Hume, you probably could Google him, maybe. Anyway, he's this dead guy. He's a philosopher or something, critic of knowledge and philosophy, actually. But anyway, there's this thing that he talked about, and I know you're gonna be like, SKD, what the fuck are you talking about? This is just for the sake of example, because this is the most pervasive thing that I could probably tell you. There's this concept that he talks about, and he calls it the uniformity of the laws of nature, right? And you're just gonna be like, okay, SKD, shut the fuck up. No, right? So let me illustrate this with my, this book, right? Look at the book. Don't really look at the book, but look at the book, right? So, uniformity of the laws of nature. What happens if I drop this book, right? How do you know what happens when I drop this book? It goes into my other hand, right? How do we know that? How do we know that, right? So the general idea of physics and the way we interact with the world around us and stuff is something that we've come to understand kind of in a trial and error way, right? We understand these things by observing them over and over and over and over again, right? And because we've seen it so many times, we can kind of understand that this kind of law is so strong and we have a lot of confidence in it, right? Because at no point in me handling the book and releasing the book do I internally, mentally question, hey, is this not going to fall the way that it always does, right? Because if I think about that kind of thing, it's going to interfere with me dropping the book and getting banned on YouTube because it opens up to a page that's So that in mind, that kind of idea is the basis for which we structure a lot of knowledge, right? And when you think about how confident you were that that book would fall and open up and I'd get banned, that level of confidence you want to bring with you to fighting games, right? And you want to bring with you to fighting game information. So the general idea is having strongly constituted ideas that you can be confident in, right? And because you can be confident in these ideas that you believe in them, you can apply them with confidence, right? So there are the two types of confidence that I kind of wanted to focus on that we use in fighting games, right? So let's talk about the knowledge confidence first, which is kind of a weird way to put it. It's a little bit of an abstract discussion, but I had a good example in my good friend Timmy on the block, right? So I live on a small block in the middle of nowhere, and the only other kid on the block is Timmy, right? So Timmy comes over to play BlazBlue, and every time he comes over to play BlazBlue, I hit him like a dummy with Ragnar 6B, just every time. Timmy never learns. So then I kind of think about it and I'm like, hey, if Timmy can't block this shit, then maybe no one can block this shit, right? So wait. I'm tripping the fuck out, right? Because realistically, Timmy's not the entire world, right? So why am I basing my assumption that this is a stable form of offense on Timmy? Because Timmy sucks ass, right? Timmy sucks ass. Timmy doesn't even know how to do a combo. So why am I like popping off that I can hit Timmy with this overhead, right? Doesn't make any sense. So the reason why it doesn't make sense is because we don't have a lot of information to base this on, right? What are we basing this on? If you really wanted to write it out, we'd just be like, Timmy sucks, right? There's not a lot. So does everyone suck? No. So you go to a tournament, right? You're kind of feeling yourself. You learn a new combo that does more damage off of 6B. So you go to a tournament and you do 6B and you never actually get to do the combo because it gets blocked every time because your mix-up sucks. You only played Timmy, who sucks, right? So what the fuck, right? You couldn't have been that confident in that information. And if you were to be confident in information that you didn't have good backing for, you're tripping, right? You're just tripping. So let me start over, right? So I'm born again and Timmy's back on my block. And, you know, I have a couple memories from my prior life and I realized that basing my knowledge off of my limited scope of understanding is just dumb. Right? I don't do that as a functional human being. So I think about it and I think about knowledge and I think about confidence and I'm like, you know what? I actually really want to make something that I can be confident in. You know, I want to give myself an idea that I can be confident in, right? So this is the kind of basic fundamental understanding of the information we use in fighting games, right? Because ultimately, right, I haven't been able to try using Ragna 6B on everyone in the world to really see that it's unreactable or how easily reactable it is, right? So imagine that I did Ragna 6B to 99.9% of the human population in the world, right? But the only person left that I haven't tried it on is, I don't know, some girl, right? But let's just say this little girl could block it, but I just never knew, but I just said it was unreactable because I hit 99% of the world with it, right? You know, no one's gonna get mad that you say that this is unreactable because you hit 99% of the population with it. You can have a lot of confidence in this because it is so well corroborated. You have literally tested this billions of times on a huge information scale that little girl maybe being able to block it doesn't really matter too much, right? At the same time, we don't ever live with guarantees, right? Because, as my good friend David Hume said, if I drop this book and you don't see this woman in a compromising position, what then, huh? Right? What then? So I can say with utmost confidence that yes, I will drop it and blah, 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 blah. But that knowledge is based on what I already know and what I've kind of corroborated for myself. And I have a lot of confidence in that, right? So come with that same energy. Come with that same energy to fighting games, right? So build ideas that you can be confident in. Build ideas that are well-founded. And talk about ideas that have very strong backing, stuff like that. Ideas that you can be confident in, right? So why is it important to be confident in these ideas? So we're building confidence as a tangible thing that exists in information, right? And we can have a kind of like confidence interval depending on how much information relative to relevant context that blah, 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 right? I totally just spit out a bunch of words at you. But we want to build information that we're confident in, right? But why? Why? So if I'm confident in this information that my book will fall, then I'm confident enough to drop it and see what happens, right? And that's the kind of approach you should have for the knowledge that you're confident in when you approach fighting games, right? So you have to be confident enough in the information to apply it, right? You have to have enough confidence in this information to apply it. And that is where that person who hit me up said that they had trouble, because they had heard a lot of the strong ideas and they understood the theory behind it or whatever, but they weren't confident enough to apply it, right? They weren't confident enough in those ideas to apply it. Probably because they haven't verified enough of those claims properly and stuff like that. And even if they can apply it and even if they trust it, right, their application, they may hesitate when applying it because they're not inherently as confident, right? So if you want to go into the club and steal Timmy's girlfriend, right? The implementation of your knowledge is really important as well, just like in a fighting game, right? Because if your knowledge isn't properly applied, it's not going to work out well. Just like in a fighting game, if you hesitate, the knowledge that you have, you won't be able to apply it correctly because ultimately there's a kind of difficulty in application that you have to be able to meet. So you have to be confident enough in the information to apply it, right? That is something that you have to kind of build within yourself. And that's the kind of, that's the club confidence, right? And I know I talk about the club a lot. I don't actually go to the club. I don't look like I go to the club. I've done enough stupid stuff in my younger years. I don't go to the club. I don't like the club, right? But the club is my example because if you're in the club, you're probably confident. Maybe you actually have less confidence, but the youth today, man. But yeah, I hope that kind of explains it. I just want to kind of very explicitly state there are two aspects to confidence for fighting game players that you need to know of, right? You kind of have to build things to be confident in, and then you have to be confident enough to apply those things, right? Well, thank you for listening to me ramble on about the uniformity of the laws of nature and basing your knowledge on that kind of thing. And I know it might sound crazy, but hey, I'm not a confident person, but this has worked for me. This is generally how we think about a lot of things. Anyway, I hope this is good food for thought for you. Hope you'll actually be able to use this knowledge. You're gonna have a little bit of confidence, ha ha ha, in what I tell you, because this is, how we exist in the world, and